I'm still not over it. Let's talk about Turkey against Paraguay because that was the game and this was the result that allowed the USA to clinch the group as toppers, and Turkey going down yet again. This wasn't the prettiest of games, but we probably didn't expect it to be. But Shaka, thoughts on what happened in this game? Because is it right to say that, I'm going to take it from the Turkey standpoint, because coming into this one, we said, oof, coming out of this group probably should be the USA and Turkey, and maybe they will battle to see who tops it. Now, 2 games done, 2 losses for Turkey, and they're getting ready to go all the way back home. Have they been the biggest deception of this World Cup?
Without question. And listen, this has changed the dynamic of this group too, because to your point, once Turkey qualifies out to the playoffs, you're thinking them and the US are favourites, and you could actually see an upset. Both of them facing off in the 3rd game, unkind draw in that respect. So you just wondered, and nothing could have played out more differently than it has right now. Now, just looking at the stats, if you're a Turkey fan, you're thinking, how did we lose that? Given Paraguay barely had the ball, given your dominance, particularly in attacking third. But the truth is, goals define these games. And you are. And it is ridiculous for us to be sitting here talking about who, at one point, many thought were the group favourites, have now lost to Paraguay with 10 men for 45 minutes. And that, for me, kind of is part of the challenge. Well, talking about the tournament, we always talk about the challenges of playing in the World Cup against different styles, against teams who just shape up differently. And that's what Turkey have found. Run up against an Australia who sit deep, hurt them on the counter-attack, and then just are ineffective in the attacking third. Against Paraguay, I know they crash out. And I have to say, this is about the most underwhelming of performances I'd expected from any European team in a tournament that I'd seen for some time.
Yeah, I think well over 60 shots at goal in their last 2 games for Turkey, and not a single goal to show for it. But as Shaka alluded to, Paraguay were down a player because Miguel Almirón became the first player to be shown a red card for covering his mouth while speaking to an opponent. Of course, this was a new rule that has been brought in, and you can see he was quite surprised that it happened. Ale, just your thoughts first on the implementation of this new rule.
Well, whether you like the rule or not, is there a rule that is in place? And if we go back, this comes from the Prestiani incident with Vini Jr. in Champions League, and him covering his mouth and saying what he said. Incidentally, Jose Mourinho defended that, and apparently that didn't matter to anybody at Real Madrid because he's at Real Madrid now. Okay. Neither here nor there. I digress.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah,
you digress.
You digress. I digress.
That's how you really feel, Alex.
I'm just saying. Inconsistency, that's all. In any case, what was not inconsistent was the implementation of the rule, of the law of the game. And this is now something that it's part of our game. And whether we think it's the correct decision or not, that's neither here nor there. It's in place to avoid the sort of behavior that we saw from Prestiani. And so as much as we like to believe that Miguel Almirón, and he will have you know that perhaps he was saying, hey, how's it going? You having a good time in this game? What's going on, Jermaine? We're gonna hang out after this? Probably not. Jermaine is too cool for me.
Yeah, he is.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's facts.
You've got another point. That's another good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shaq.
We digress again, though.
Do you notice how Jermaine said, yeah, you're good. In any case, you got to know. And players would have been informed of this ahead of the tournament. People may not know this, but ahead of the tournament, basically in a meeting, you are told some of the things that are going to be implemented in the World Cup, and new rules and new laws and things that you have to be aware of. You are given this information. So if you just pay attention, you know that this is part of the new reality of football. And so therefore, you have to behave accordingly. As it pertains to Paraguay, let me just tell you, that was the most Paraguay performance I have seen in so long. That is who they are. It is who they are. And believe me, that feeling that Turkey has today is, how did we lose to that group of players? I have had that feeling for 20 years about Paraguay. Eliminated us from Copa America, eliminated us from World Cup competition. Paraguay has done this to Venezuela. I digress again. This is so Paraguay, and I'm not surprised. I was surprised at how poor they were against the United States, but that was the most Paraguay performance ever.
So as you can see, those of us whose countries did not qualify for the World Cup are still in need of some therapy. But luckily, Jermaine has not one but two countries at the World Cup. So, Jermaine, let me talk to you about that same rule, too, because as a player, as Ale said, of course, you're told about it, but you're in the middle of a World Cup. So much is going on. How really aware are you of these new rule changes? Are they consistently reminding you, or do you feel for Miguel Almirón?
No, I don't feel for him at all.
Okay, fair.
Moving on.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
For me, the bigger point is that situation, that because the story, what you said, what happened in the game Benfica Lisbon against Real Madrid. So, I have a problem when somebody puts their hand in front of it. Then you know it's not just a trash talk, what everybody can read, and you say, oh, later on you will say that happens in a game and this is normal. So you're hiding your hands because you're saying something, and you know that if this will be written or somebody can figure out what you said, that would be trouble. So, and this is why I think the rule is good, that if you put your hands up, you straight get a red card, so that this will be stopped sooner or later, or you have consequences. And I think that's now Paraguay. We talk about like if he know it or he don't. Like you've been on point. I think before every tournament, they come in and they explain to you exactly what they're doing, because otherwise it will be an unfair situation if you don't know what is happening. They're doing some new rules. So I think it's a good idea, good rule, and it's good.
And very quickly, I would just say this. The referee was more than happy to bring out that red card. He covered his mouth, number 10. Red card, take that.